Alright, we're in the no seat Z, sitting on the ground because
Why not?
there's no room anywhere else. But, alright, today I think we're going to talk about just top like 5 or 6 things that you can do to pretty much any car that we think, it's going to be obviously opinion based, but and what we think will make your car handle the best.
It's like the general
Yeah,
modifications.
very generalized. So the order may not be specific for your car, but this is pretty general from our research and our online research, and then our personal experiences as well.
Yeah, so just to get 2 things out the way though. One thing that'll make a difference is seats, like racing seats that'll help you just hold you in place and keep you centered.
Yeah, it
in
doesn't
the car.
actually change how the car handles, but it's going to make the driving experience a lot better.
And then also we have the lighter your car is.
Yeah.
That'll make a difference. But besides that, actually bolt-on modifications.
Yeah. So starting from the top, the first thing, no matter what, any car, this applies to really anything at all, is just tires. You can't grip the pavement if your tires can't grip the pavement. Whether they're just new tires, but if you get a performance orientated tire, that's going to be the best. Something with a lower tread wear, so the lower the number on the tread wear, the faster it will burn out and wear out, but the grippier they're going to be.
So a 200 will be better for handling over a 400.
Yeah. So 5 and 600 is what they call like a gas economy tire. That's going to be a very hard tire. They're going to last the longest. You'll probably get over a year out of those, but since it's a harder rubber compound, it's not going to grip as good. I think that a good middle ground is about a 300.
And then also on the topic of tires, you could be thinking that, you have a 225 on your tire, I'll throw a 245, it'll be a lot better. Not always. Compound over size.
Yeah, definitely. Like, size does matter.
Make a difference.
It definitely does matter, but don't think that, the 600 treadwear 245s are going to be better than the 300 treadwear 225s. Something like that. Like, honestly, I would probably go with the smaller tire. I run a 205 45 16 with a 300 treadwear, and I usually don't break loose unless I'm taking corners super hard or they're bald or wet. Sean and I both run Nittos. We run different kinds of Nittos, but we, just for sizing reasons, I run a cheaper set of tires than he does. They're smaller, but even in the same size, the ones that I have only come in a couple of sizes, but they're super cheap. I run Nitto Neogens, and for my car, they're $80 each, so they're super cheap. They work really well for what they are. And then you run the Nitto.
I run the Matibos.
Alright, so that's the first one. Tires. No matter what, any car, first thing, before anything else, it's going to keep you safe, it's going to keep you handling better, and better track times, for sure.
And then the next one, we couldn't really decide on which one was better, because certain cars will definitely make a bigger difference one way or the other. And that was coilovers and sway bars. As in the 350Zs, they already have huge sway bars on them. So the coilovers will make the biggest difference, where on other cars, it may not make that big of a difference.
Yeah, so for the E30, suspension-wise, there's a couple different routes you can go. If you end up going with just maybe some H&R lowering springs, then I highly recommend doing coilover or sway bars at the same time. It's gonna that's gonna really kind of complete the package. Now, I haven't done them yet on my car because I went with the ground control coilovers, which are probably a good 150 to 200 pounds stiffer per spring. So I didn't feel it necessary to just jump straight into stiffening my chassis. But now that I've been driving it for 3 months, it's going to be within the next 3 things I do is going to be the sway bars.
Yeah, and then also on that, if you are spending the money on coilovers, let's say you're spending $1,000 on coilovers, because that's, say, an average price. Sway bars are only going to be $200 to $400.
Yeah, it's for my car, I think it's maybe $225 for the front and maybe about $200 for the rear. So I can get them both of them with mounts and everything for $475. So it's really not that. It's literally less than half the price of coilovers.
Yeah. So if you're trying to be on a budget, probably sway bars. But if you are buying clovers, you might as well just buy the sway bars at the same time, because while you're under there, if you're doing it yourself, it's just a lot easier to put on sway bars while you're under your car.
Yeah, you're going to have to take half of the sway bar off. You're going to have to undo the mounts, most likely.
Yeah.
You won't have to pull it out from the car, but you'll just have to undo the little parts that hook onto your control arms to put the coilovers in anyways, and that's half the work of getting them off. But coilovers are a lot harder to put on than sway bars.
Yes.
Sway bars, really, you should undo the two mounts that hold it to the chassis and the two mounts that hold it to the control arms, and then it'll pull out and you swap the new one in. Versus coilovers, there's going to be a lot more struggling to get everything in and out. We had a whole bunch of trouble doing them on mine.
Yeah.
We ended up only being able to kind of complete half of it, and then we threw the towel in because our spring compressor was garbage and sent it to a shop. It was just taking way too long. We spent 2 12-hour days trying to figure it out, and it just wasn't happening.
Next one, control arms.
Yep. So control arms, if you're going to try to get a car with more angle, the control arms by going aftermarket will give you more angle, but putting that aside, since that's very specific, it's just going to keep your steering very
stable.
Yeah, very stable. You know, really, that should be more of a maintenance thing, but it's a while you're in there type thing. If you're in there, you might as well get the better one. All right, so we forgot to say this in the beginning, but this is considering that your car is already in like daily driver condition. It drives straight. It doesn't like wobble too much in the steering wheel. A little bit's okay if it's an older car, but for the most part, it's in good running and driving condition.
Yeah.
So that being said, control arms may not be necessary, but if you feel that little wobble in your wheel, or you kind of hit a bump and it like, kind of sways a little bit, then you might want to look into some control arms and tie rods. But as we said a moment ago, that's more of a maintenance thing, unless you're going to go in and switch them over to polyurethane bushings, which I had on one of my E30s, and I loved it. It made a very big difference. Very noticeable by them being just the stiffer compound. And then if they're available for your car, offset bushings. They are for the E30s. I'm pretty sure they are for the 350Zs. The offset control arm bushings just kind of give you that little extra resistance and stability. That it's not like night and day difference, but it's worth it, especially if it's only a couple bucks.
Yeah. And the last one would be chassis braces. Now, chassis braces and like strut tower bars, kind of along the same lines. If you do drive a convertible, chassis braces will make a huge difference. Basically, in a convertible, when
you don't have a roof.
Anytime, yeah, you don't have a roof. So all these pieces here wouldn't be here. So all the metal keeping your car rigid, which rigidity helps with handling, you're missing. So by putting chassis braces under your car, that'll definitely help a huge amount. But be wary, as in I know specifically for 350Zs, there are like H clips that go under your car, but you need an extra 2 inches of clearance. So if you are planning on slamming your car, or if you have a very low car, H clips or just chassis mounts might not be the best idea, just because if you hit that, it can cause serious damage underneath your car.
Yeah. So for the E30 one, basically it's an X that's connected at the top and the bottom, and what it does is it braces your subframe and your main frame, like your chassis, your front subframe and your chassis together with the X. So it's like one of the most recommended convertible mods, and lots of the race cars use them even on the hard tops. So it's something that I want to look into in the future, but right now I just don't have the extra money for it. They're somewhere around $300 to $600 depending on the model, brand, and the car. For the E30, I think they're about $425 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Also on strut tower bars, they do basically the same thing as a chassis brace, but both of these mods more or less affect your car in the long run, just as over time your car will get less rigid.
Yeah.
Just because it's driving around, it's moving, it's hitting bumps. So having those mods done will definitely help it in the long run to retain its handling.
Don't expect to bolt a strut tower bar on and feel a huge difference, or really any difference. What it is when your car maybe hits a pothole on just the left side, it's just going to kind of slam, and then that side's going to lose rigidity versus the right side. It's just going to kind of even all that, so it's taking the stress more evenly throughout the whole chassis. Therefore, it all stays stiffer longer. Yep. Oh, and then, again, we already said it once. The most important thing is that your car, you shouldn't be modifying it until it's already in decent condition. Now, if you're building a car from the ground up and you're starting with like a chassis, that's one thing. Buy the best thing right off the bat. You might as well. But remember that by going stiffer in things like coilovers, you are definitely going to gain a lot more road noise, and
the ride quality is going to go down in the sense of comfortability.
Yeah. So obviously your ride quality goes up in the sense that you're going to
feel more what your car is doing. Like you hit a bump, you're going to feel that in the steering wheel. You're going to feel that in your seat. You're going to know what your car is doing.
Since your car's not body rolling, you're going to be able to set up for the next corner faster, which is where you're going to lower your lap times. But, it's a trade-off. Are you going to be driving a lot of people around that aren't going to like that? If you share the car with somebody, or, if it's your parents' car and you're like, oh, maybe I can do this without them noticing, they're definitely going to notice. Yeah. Anytime you mess with your suspension, not so much the sway bars because they have set notches, but coilovers and things like that, control arms, you're going to be taking the stuff off completely and putting a brand new one on. You should definitely go get an alignment. Without the alignment, even though it may look level, you don't know for sure if that left and right side is the same. You can count the threads and get pretty close, and if you don't care too much, it's really no big deal, but I highly, highly recommend anytime you do any suspension work to get an alignment. It's just going to make sure that everything's straight and true, and like little things come out in the rain, basically. Here, it doesn't rain too much, but right now it's very wet. I couldn't even drive my car out today because my tires are so bad. Alright, so as you guys can tell from everything, we are strong believers in tires being one of the number one things for handling right off the bat. It's going to be the easiest to get. It's going to be probably about the same as the other ones, but it's definitely going to just be a direct fit. So go talk to your local tire shop and figure that one out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time.